Hey guys, it's Sophie and welcome back to my channel. So since I'm meant to be in California at the moment, but I can't be due to COVID-19, I thought I could do a travel style series for my YouTube. So I thought for the first one I could focus on packing and all the essential things that you need to know before you go on holiday. So this isn't going to be an expert guide of everything you need when you pack for a holiday, just the basics that I always follow when I'm going to any destination. So before you pack anything in that suitcase of yours, the first thing you must do is make a checklist. Now on this checklist you can have all the items that you want to take because you know how many days you're going for, so then you can coordinate how many shirts you're going to take, how many pairs of shorts, how many jeans, how many pairs of shoes, all the things that you're going to wear on holiday you can then write down on this checklist so then you don't forget any of them when it does come to packing. Make sure you also add things like toiletries and goggles and all the cosmetics that you want to take as well. Even if it's obvious, jot it down. It's better to be safe than sorry, trust me. Tip number 2 is don't overpack. A lot of people when they're on holiday will buy lots of duty-free stuff, they'll go shopping, they'll come back with lots of presents. So the last thing you want is to have a suitcase that's too full when you go out there because you won't be able to bring anything home. What I like to do is put all of my clothes on my bed in little piles and just go through them and eliminate at least half of it to start with. Once you've cut down and you've only got what you need, then you can start adding extras if the case still has enough room. But don't do what I used to do and overfill it and cram things into gaps that don't exist. All space is very valuable. A side note to this tip is try and get a suitcase with an extender. So if you do end up going on holiday and you have quite a full suitcase which you can't help, then at least you've got some extra room that you can fill if you do buy some more stuff. And this leads me nicely onto tip number 3. Try and buy a suitcase that you can easily ID and that stands out from everyone else's suitcase. For me, I bought a black suitcase but with a blue trimming all the way around the edge so it stands out. And me and the family, because all of our cases were black, we have bands that have our family name or that are rainbow coloured. And even better, we've also tied a coloured ribbon that we've had left over from Christmas just onto the top. So we've actually got several things on our suitcases which make them easy to identify when we're in an airport. Because the last thing you want is someone picking up your suitcase, like mistaking it for theirs. Tip number 4 is all about cosmetic products. It's important to remember that there is a 100 milliliter limit on all small products and gels that you take on the flight with you in your carry-on. Even if you have big bottles that are almost empty, do not take them because they will more than likely be confiscated. Your best bet is to get containers that are the same size as the limitations and fill them with products that you want to take on holiday with you. Try to take as minimal as possible. If you can't live without your big cans of aerosols or that massive bottle of foundation, then put it in your suitcase. That's the best bet if you want to make sure that it doesn't get confiscated. Same goes with sunscreens and mozzie sprays, which leads me straight into tip number 5, which is all about sunscreen and mozzie spray. It's incredibly important that even if you think you don't suffer from mosquito bites and sunburn, that you bring sunscreen and mosquito repellent. I have to be extra cautious because I'm extra sensitive to both being sunburned and from being bitten by certain bugs. So I have to bring lots of this. So that is a very important tip. Always, always, always bring sunscreen. And bug repellent is so important because you really don't want to get bitten while you're on holiday because it will ruin the rest of your trip. Especially if your mosquito bites end up anywhere as bad as mine do. So I did just mention carry-on items and it's incredibly important to talk about them too. You don't want to take something too big or something that won't fit under the seat in front of you on a flight or in the overhead locker above. Make sure you've got all your essential items or ones that you don't want to lose in that bag with you safe. And also bring some extra clothes to change into. I find a lot of the time after a flight, if I'm wearing leggings or jeans, I want to change into shorts straight away. If worse comes to worse and your suitcase gets lost, you still have extra clothing with you. And this will give you enough time to go buy some more clothes, but that is the worst case scenario, so fingers crossed that won't happen. So the next tip from that is make sure you don't rely on your mobile phone. A lot of people bring electronic devices in their carry-on luggage and that's it. That's all that they've got to entertain them on a flight. And most of the time you find they get bored or something goes wrong with their device and then they've got nothing. If you go on a long haul flight, you have got the TV that's located in the back of the chair in front of you, but you can't rely on that either. They go wrong all the time or you may get bored on them. So it's important that you bring other stuff with you to entertain you, like books and drawing and Sudoku and card games. Even keep a journal. I always like to keep travel journals so I can like look back on my memories later on, and I like to start when we're on a flight because airports seem to be very good places for stuff to happen. Fun story of mine is when we were on our way to Australia. It was our Australia, Bali and Singapore holiday. We were in the airport and we're walking to find somewhere to sit to wait for our flight to be called. And as we're about to sit down, I look down at my feet and I tell my mum that I've made a big mistake. I had two completely different trainers on. They were both Nike and they were both black, but one was a brand new shoe and one was a very old shoe. And because we'd woken up at like 4:30 in the morning, I was too tired to know the difference. So that went straight into my travel journal, and me and my family look back on that day and laugh all the time, and I can't wait to look back on that journal in 25, 30 years time and just relive that moment. And I'll never make that mistake again. Some other good stuff to have inside your carry-on bag would be stuff like lip balm, hand sanitizer, hand cream, extra tissues, and I would really recommend buying your own food before the flight, as plain food isn't always the best. And definitely bring chewy sweets, boiled sweets, that sort of stuff if you really struggle with flights. I always find my ears, the pressure when we take off and when we land, I really struggle with that. So I always make sure we've got an extra packet of boiled sweets or gummy snakes just so I can chew on during departure and landing. So my next tip is bringing extras. What sort of things would you need to bring extra of when you go on holiday? Well, from my extensive experience of traveling the globe, these are the main things I would always take extra of no matter where you go, no matter what type of holiday. So for the ladies, I highly recommend bringing sanitary products, even if you're not due on, because you never know what can happen. And if you are due on and you have brought products with you, I would always bring extra than you think that you're going to use. Just as a precaution, because you never know what's going to happen, and I would always bring some in your suitcase and some in your carry-on just in case. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there's a blackbird behind me on the fence having a right good sing. Other extras include socks and underwear. I always bring a couple more than I think I'm going to go through. So if I go on a 2-week holiday, like 14, 15 days, I'll always bring 20 to 25 pairs of both underwear and socks just in case. And once again, bring some in your carry-on as well. If you're also really clumsy like me, then I recommend bringing extra charging cables or headphones. I've had experiences in the past where I've broken headphones on flights and I've had none for the rest of the holiday, or I've lost a charging cable, so I would definitely think about taking extra if you've got them. So my next tip, for everyone who's stayed in a hotel before, you probably know that the shampoo, body conditioner, shower lotion bottles are really small. If you're like me or you travel with friends and family, then you know that you'll go through these bottles really quickly. I really recommend bringing a small bottle of shampoo and conditioner with you no matter where you go on holiday. This means you have your own supply if you do happen to run out in a hotel, but also if you're a big swimmer like me and you end up in the pool or the ocean whenever possible and your hair gets really knotty, you've got something just to help you out as well. So this next one may not seem like an essential tip for a list like this, but I really recommend it. If you're traveling abroad and you're bringing your mobile phone, which you probably will be, I really recommend getting a case that you can easily identify. You may end up losing your phone either in a restaurant or on a tour bus or somewhere where you can go back and get it from. If you have a phone case or even a lock screen with a photo on that you can easily recall and give details of, this really helps the people that are in that restaurant or on that tour bus find your phone and they know that it's yours, so they're more likely to give it back. And my last travel tip for packing would be to print off all necessary and essential information. These days we have technology and it's amazing, but we can't always rely on it. So the best thing to do and the most sensible thing to do would be to print off anything that you need, whether this be travel tickets or information to get to your hotel, anything at all. It's better to have it on you in a hard copy than maybe potentially lose it on a mobile device. So there are all my essential travel packing tips for all of you future adventurers out there that are looking on getting on the next plane out of here as soon as we can. Obviously, it really does depend on where you're going and what sort of person you are as to whether you bring extras or you do some of these tips, but I really recommend following this simple basic guideline if you want to make sure that you are completely ready for your next adventure. I I hope this video's helped you and you've enjoyed watching it. If you're not already, don't forget to follow me on my Instagram page, which is this, and also follow me on my Facebook page. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more animal-filled content and travel videos. And thank you guys so much for sending in your video suggestions of what you'd like me to do next. I'm going to try and get around and do as many of them as possible. But for now, all of you stay safe and I will see you all very soon.